Hey and welcome to this Warhammer Fest 2023 review. I'm Stephen and this is Michael. How you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. We're both tired after a very long event, you especially.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing to talk about first, what is Warhammer Fest?
Okay, so Warhammer Fest is essentially run by Games Workshop, and what I would say is kind of very much like a large expo.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're familiar with like Comic-Con, I was used to Body Power, basically huge expo, huge event. There's lots of different tournaments going on, cosplay. There's lots of different previews. The Golden Demon was there, the painting competition. So it's basically a one-stop shop for everything Games Workshop in one place in Manchester. Now this hasn't been held for a few years since obviously COVID. I remember going to one back when they released 8th edition for the first ever time. And I was able to play 8th edition on the day. That was pretty exciting, that was pretty cool. But in the house tonight we also have Jordan. How you doing, Jordan?
Yeah, all good, mate. All
you
good.
went to Warhammer Fest?
I did.
You didn't play in the event though, did you?
No, not this time. Just wanted to have a look around, see what it was like.
Nice.
First Fest, so yeah.
First Fest. Kobe, you're here too?
I am indeed. Hello.
You went to Fest also?
I did as well.
Again, similar sort of situation to Jordan, right?
Very similar to Jordan. Didn't play first Fest, so we just wanted to see what was around.
Nice, and we've got Seb on the switches in the camera today. Okay, so unfortunately Jake isn't here.
No, that is very unfortunate.
Hope everything is all right, Jakey. We wish you well. But yeah, basically it was a very, very long weekend I went there Friday daytime with Chris, the Rhino Anderson. Me and him went up Friday morning. We had some food out Friday evening, which was nice. And then basically Saturday was game one of the event. Mm-hmm. So I played in the main event, as did you,
yep.
The 9-round competition that went over Saturday, Sunday and Monday. But that wasn't all. There was quite a lot going on.
Yes.
So where are we going to start with this whole review of Warhammer Fest and the event?
Sorry guys, just a quick thing. Ian James has been a member for 13 months.
Legend.
And he said, evening team, glad you had a good weekend.
Perfect, thanks Ian. Absolute legend, mate. Appreciate that. Yeah, if you have any questions whatsoever, please super chat them in, ask them in, whatever it might be. And we can answer those questions.
Yeah, as it is. So the first thing to start with is sort of expectations. So let's not talk about the event expectations, but what are your expectations for the expo?
So not the tournament.
Not the tournament. What were your expectations for the weekend?
Okay, what was my expectations? I knew I was going to be tired by the end of it.
Yeah.
I was most looking forward to just meeting and seeing all the kind of fellow content creators again, because I haven't really caught up with them since, like a few individually, some at LVO, but not since like the Heresy event, the Horus Heresy event. So that I was really looking forward to. I was expecting to be lots of things to see and do.
Yeah.
Like multiple fests I've been to in the past, where you could check out new games, you could speak to the designers, you could go and watch stuff about the previews, and of course you could look at the Golden Demon entry. So yeah, that's what I was expecting, and I would say all those things were there.
Yes, absolutely.
But they had a larger competition and more competitions going on than I expected.
Yeah, they certainly did. They had like Kill Team, Sigma, all sorts going on at the same time.
Yeah. There was one massive highlight for the event, but I think I'll save it till the very end.
Okay, yes.
And there is also a massive, what's the opposite of a highlight?
Downlight?
Shadow.
Shadow.
There's a very deep, dark, lurking shadow that we will also talk about, which isn't something I really want to talk about, but I feel like I have to. So.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to take the good times with the bad and make sure everybody's aware of things that can happen even at Games Workshop official events.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so that's sort of your expectations for the weekend as a whole. What about the event?
The tournament.
The tournament.
So the tournament. Now, we've never played on Games Workshop terrain layouts before.
No, this is, I think, the first sort of Games Workshop open style event in the UK, but there's been, 4 or 5 or maybe more than that over in the States?
Yeah. I'm going to be completely, utterly honest.
Okay.
In stream games, when we practiced it, Jake asked me, what do you think of it and I think I said out of 7, because I think 7's a good rating because you've got a nice middle point of a 4.
Mm-hmm.
What would you give it? And I think I said a 3.
You did say a 3.
And I said if I, want to exchange my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
I will.
Okay. So after Fest and playing, you played 7 games in total.
Yeah.
How would you rate it out of 7 now? It wasn't rhetorical. It was a
I'm thinking.
genuine question.
Now, it didn't... Thinking back to my matchups,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to exclude my biased matchups.
Right. Okay.
So in terms of how it affected me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I would have said a 3.
Okay. As in, like, it benefited you, or you were able to work with it, that kind of thing?
Like, it wasn't great,
It wasn't great,
no.
but you could deal with it?
If 4 is an average amount of terrain,
Right.
I would say it's below average.
Okay, cool. What about in terms of functionality?
It was quite challenging. The fact that you had to lift up the terrain, put the objective markers down, which is strange because you don't normally ever put objective markers on area terrain.
No.
I think it doesn't feel very great because you've got these massive squares again.
Mm-hmm.
There were some bits that just didn't make sense
Right.
to me personally. I know they were carrying less terrain than they should have.
Okay.
I think there should have been more on the actual physical amounts.
Right.
But I'm actually going to give it a 2.
Okay.
2 out of 7.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's me, like, as a general gist of,
Mm-hmm.
if this game goes one way, it's over.
Yeah.
And I hate that feeling. So that would be my kind of one thing would be for, say that at the end, but I think certainly something Games Workshop can improve on is the terrain offering at their events.
Yeah, and I have to agree. I have
Yeah.
to agree. I mean, I could rate it lower based on some of my matchups, but I think overall, it's probably where it sits, a 2, yeah. At least the layouts included, if the layouts were slightly different, I think they could have worked with the terrain a bit better.
Yeah.
But we can come to that during some of the matchups. Okay, so that's the terrain out of the way. Well, how did you then
Talk about
plan
the format.
the format? Okay.
The format was different as well.
Okay.
So the format we placed into brackets.
Right.
So you played essentially 5 rounds first of all,
Mm-hmm.
and then you were placed into a bracket system.
Okay. What does that mean?
Now that basically means that depending on how many games you had won,
Right.
you would then segregate it into certain brackets, then you could try and win your bracket. And then you wouldn't drop any lower, but you couldn't get any higher either of that bracket. So there was like the top bracket with everybody that was undefeated, or like undefeated in draws, they were in the top bracket.
Right.
And I think there were some of the best losers
Yes.
based on their opponent's win rate.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, that would then bump you up into the next one.
Okay, so how does this win rate thing work?
So, in terms of the games themselves as a format,
Mm-hmm.
I found and I only realised this when I was playing Ben at the very end,
Yeah.
that it was quite obvious who was going to win that game.
Mm.
From like me, and this is a bit of a spoiler alert, me and Ben Jones played in the very last round that I played,
Mm-hmm.
and we rolled off. Me and Ben have both got an Eldar army,
Yeah.
both super fast. Mine's a bit more combat, his is a lot more shooting.
Yeah.
It was on a mission in which he could sit right at the back of the table,
Mm-hmm.
and my combat can't reach it.
Yeah.
So, me and Ben practice all the time. We know how this game goes,
Mm-hmm.
and with the terrain offering, Ben was able to touch every piece of terrain, open it up, and literally you watch my army melt.
Mm-hmm.
So the issue here that I had with it was that me and Ben could have only needed to play the first turn
Yes.
because we had a conclusion.
Right. Okay. So to clarify, this event, the battle points of a game didn't matter.
They
All
were
that
like
mattered was the win.
they were like a 4th point in its sort of deviating between.
Right.
Okay. Now there is a pro to this, and I will come on to that. But the con side of this is that I don't need to do an R&D. There's no point me trying to do a warp ritual. There's 0 point me trying to play the game.
Yeah.
So in some matchups where there is a like in some games where you know you're going to get hammered, like you know you're going to lose, or you know you're going to win, there's still a point in playing the game out to score as many points as you can and potentially stop your opponent from scoring.
Yes.
And as your opponent, there's a reason to keep playing, to keep fighting, to score as many battle points as you possibly can to help your seeding.
Yeah. Okay.
It makes no difference.
So most events that we attend, certainly, and maybe you at home attend, they will basically do your wins, and then your ranking will be done by your battle points, what you actually score in each game, added up.
Yeah, now I know why they've done it.
Okay.
And the pro to this is that it stops somebody, and this happens a lot at some of the events like LGT,
Yes.
where they get to a certain size of event, and you're probably better off losing your first game. Because it's just done on basically battle points. So you could go, if I lose my first game and I score like 90 points and take an early round loss, you'll then in your next game play somebody else that's lost a game, but you'd have scored 90 in your first loss.
Yeah.
So you have an easier, what we call path to victory than somebody that went undefeated, because they're constantly playing undefeated players.
Yes.
So their battle point scores are constantly being sort of pushed down because they're playing a higher caliber of player. This also stops things that have happened in the past where you cannot make the top cut if you didn't score 100 points in every single game.
Yes.
Which we've seen at the recent, was it Manchester?
Manchester. A lot of the big ones now, that's the case. Yeah. If you don't score 97 to 100 every single game, then
you won't make
can't
the
make the top cut.
Yeah. So in a way, that's great because if you've got an army that physically can't score them because your army relies on taking R&D, which is like 12 points, and then a warp ritual, which is 12 points, and maybe you pick another, which is like 12 points. You can still win that game. But it's just on those like threshold games, I would say, on the extremes, where you know you've already got an early conclusion. Now, if the terrain offering was larger and the terrain tables were more dense, you wouldn't have such an extreme, like, kind of seesaw point of when it's pretty evident who's going to win that game.
Yes.
Because the alpha strike armies or very fast shooting armies will dominate on a lower terrain table. So I think if terrain was higher, that format could be great.
Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't like me speaking negatively about it. I'm just looking at the pros and the cons, and this is obviously a very different style event than what we're typically used to here in the UK.
Yeah.
So change is one thing, but then it's also being able to see what's positive about the change and how you can adapt to it, right? Is there any questions from the chat, by the way?
Not at the minute, mate. Not at the minute. Everyone's just... We put a poll up to see how people are, or how they enjoyed Fest. And 67% of people have said that they actually enjoyed their Warhammer Fest experience.
Great.
But yeah, no questions as of yet.
Okay.
But I'm sure we'll get some coming shortly.
Yeah. If you get any questions whatsoever, please, put them in. Yeah.
All right. So in essence, what you said is basically how they're doing it now. If you win, you have a percentage based on how many wins your opponent has.
Yeah.
So based on how good your opponent was.
Yeah.
And then based on when you lost your game as well.
Now, the other issue here
Right.
is I wasn't sure how it would work with, and if somebody could tell me in the chat, that'd be amazing. What if one of your opponents dropped? Because a lot of people did drop from the event because there's Warhammer Fest going on. There's a lot of distractions. If you didn't really enjoy the terrain offering, maybe you wouldn't join your army. Yeah. Or maybe you knew you couldn't even make the Monday.
Yeah.
For example, VT player Mike Porter, he made the top cut, but it was his daughter's birthday on the Monday, and he was like, well, that takes priority. So there was no way he was playing on. So I don't know how dropping from the event really worked. I know a lot of people had to get back for Monday. Manchester's a long way up.
It is a long way up.
So for if you live in the south, so I don't really know how that worked. Yeah. So that is something that is a bit of a strange one, right? Especially if you're relying on your opponents to keep doing well. Yeah. Yeah. Because then also to some degree you're not in control of your own destiny and battle points if you have if you play a lower caliber of player.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a random, it's kind of out of your control. And there is one example, one of our other VT players, Liam. Yeah. One of his opponents didn't actually show up for their game.
Right.
So they paired him into someone else who we quickly realised in this sort of about round 3 was actually on 3 losses.
Right.
So he'd been, instead of like a bye given to both players, which I think may have been a fairer way to do it, she then had to play someone who was on 3 wins.
That's not great, is it?
And then he had to play someone that was on 3 losses. And that, of course, negatively affects his sort of percentage, like in terms of how well his opponents have done.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be
worked out a little
bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that's the format.
Yeah.
In terms of points and things. And I agree. I think if the terrain was slightly easier to hide in, it might be it might still work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we just got to iron a few things out. Is what we're saying.
Yeah.
So having talked about the terrain at length, how did you prepare yourself for being able to play on what is essentially a unique and new format?
So myself, you and I had multiple conversations.
Yeah.
I spent all weekend with Ben at Salou the day before. Oh, me and Jay actually. Jay Seabreen, legend of a player. Me and him played all day Friday to prepare. I thought I'd try and take the Blood Angels. That was the original intent. But after me and Jonesy put the Blood Angels into Iron Hands going second, it just doesn't work.
Okay, so just to clarify, you played a game using an army that is considered very strong at the moment, and you saw how it did on this terrain.
Yeah.
And that was kind of your prep.
And I knew if I'm playing against Iron Hands after Iron Hands and I go second, I don't want to be in a situation where I have to go first. I'm relying on going first to actually, win that game. And this wasn't really something I wanted to do. So I put the Blood Angels to one side, and me and Ben decided to both collectively work on an Eldar list.
Cool.
Obviously, I feel really comfortable running the Eldar. I know my matchups really well. I've ran Eldar for the majority of the latter part of this season.
Yeah.
And we felt like with the number of World Eaters players, Blood Angels also have 0 chance into that matchup.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a bit of a no-go, that one.
Agreed.
If you've got 2 players on an equal skill level, the World Eaters should take it.
Yes.
Due to their interactions in the combat phase. Whereas we felt like the Eldar, a little bit extra shooting, a little bit of move blocking, the psychic phase as well, and also the Phoenix Lords that I have.
There's a little bit of magic.
There's a little bit of spice in there that I can work with. So I decided to go with an Eldar list.
Okay,
and also I was happy with the models that I'd had painted up. Warrior Workshop in C Studios, we used some of those models like the Warp Spiders, for example, absolutely beautiful. So they definitely came. Unfortunately, no Avatar, but
that was a terrain consideration, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's the same. Again, that's one of the reasons why I probably give the terrain a 2.
Yeah.
Because I put the terrain, the Avatar on the table, and I thought he's just going to die straight away.
You can't hide him.
And the Avatar up there is one of my favourite models ever, and I shouldn't feel like I'm penalised to take a model I enjoy.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And that's a bit upsetting. So, and that's me as a competitive player thinking, right, yes, I could take it, but I don't want to absolutely hamstring myself. All right, I'm already to some degree hamstringing myself by not taking the most proficient shooting army anyway.
Yeah.
So I was a bit disappointed about that. So I made myself a cooler sermon instead, just to make up for it.
I have to say, it's probably your best conversion yet.
Thanks. He's missing
Honestly.
he's missing a sword right now.
Well, we'll come to that later.
We'll come to why he's missing a sword later. Okay. The deep dark shadow game.
Okay, so obviously you can check out Steve's list if you've got PCP, etc. Do you want to run through very quickly what this was?
Yep.
So obviously we've got a bunch of
Characters.
awesome characters here. What was your craft world?
Okay, so I went for Ignore's cover
Okay.
because of the simple size of how big the squares were.
Yeah,
So
basically,
I ignore light cover.
Yeah, so basically the squares are very large, but there's not much line of sight blocking. So ignoring cover, people are going to be on cover most of the time in the game. And as you said, the objectives could also be in the terrain. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went for that, and then I went for Vengeful, the old classic Steve Box move. The exploding 6s in combat.
Of course. Did you roll any?
No.
Cool.
No, I rolled a few, just not when I wanted them. Anyway, we'll get to that game. Ryan, Ryan, hey. So I got a Warlock on Jet Bike. Okay, he's got Quicken. He's also got the Sunstorm, the objective secured bike.
Very nice.
Do you know what? Didn't use that bike once.
Cool.
Could go in the bin.
Cool.
Save myself CP.
Cool.
Quicken was okay, quite useful.
Okay.
All right. Then a Sermon, absolute money.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Sermon was great. I would 100% put him back in the list.
Cool. Because you did debate Karandras over a sermon, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Had Baharov.
Yeah, nice.
He was cool.
Yeah.
He was cool.
He's always very, very annoying to play against.
Baharov doesn't do a lot of damage, but he's quite tricksy. He's quite
tricksy.
unique, yeah. I had a Farseer on with Ghost Walk, Psychic Power to get +2 to my charge.
Okay, did you actually use that?
No, not once.
Okay.
So that power could go in the bin. Guide I took.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you use that one?
3 times in total.
Oh, excellent. Did you just keep failing your psychic?
Well, or just use Warp Ritual.
Right, okay.
So,
yeah, fair enough.
to be honest, round 1, I forgot my Psychic phase twice. And I regretted not having Karandras in.
Cool. Well, you warmed up the engines a little bit after that.
Yeah. So we'll come back to my review of the list.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I had Jane Czar.
Yeah.
She was pretty good.
Cool.
Like, she didn't exceed any expectations, but she did a
She
job.
did what she had to.
Yeah, she was okay. She was okay.
Yeah.
Then troops, I got 2 units of Rangers.
Cool.
They were fine. I got the Howling Banshee squad with the Mirror Swords and Piercing Strikes. I got the another cheeky little unit, Howling Banshees, with the Mortal on the charge.
Prone Scream or something?
That's it. And then D3 Mortals. Yeah. And also with an Executioner Blade was a bit more damage too.
Oh, yeah, nice, nice.
I had 5 points left, so I thought, why not? Striking Scorpions, a 6-man team. This is the one that gets +1 to hit, +1 AP when the whole unit's in cover.
Okay.
And then also, I got Crushing Blow, Striking Scorpion team as well. A unit of Shining Spears with the Heart Strike, the Paragon Saber, Kane's Lances, so on the charge, D3 Mortal Wounds, on a 4-up and a fight last.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, that happened once. Then Warp Spiders, 5 of.
Cool.
MVPs for me.
Oh, wow, okay. All right.
Yeah, Warp
Okay.
Spiders were awesome.
Yeah.
Should have took 20. Anyway,
All right.
3D
Siege will have another order for you in a minute.
3D cannons.
Yeah, yeah,
You
classic.
know, they were all right. You know, sometimes they had a whiffer, but other times they were like...
Absolute necessity.
They were great.
Yeah.
And then I had 3 War Walkers with Scatter Lasers and a Wave Serpent.
Cool. Okay.
So yeah.
All right.
And I had to take the Wave Serpent because of the indirect meta of Desolation Marines.
Yes.
Didn't play them once.
Well, I did, and I can tell you it was horrible.
Right.
So let's talk about the actual games then. Let's get into it.
Yeah, we got a question from George.
We've got
Go
a few
on, go on,
questions.
go on.
Okay, go on.
So, first question was, what are both your guys' opinion on the 9-game tournament format?
The thing is, for me, if they're going to put it in brackets, then I don't really see the point of the 9, like the next 3 games. I feel it's not good for some people who can't get the Monday, have the drop, and then anybody that can somehow do the Monday will finish higher in the ranking, just based on having played more games. That's one of my issues with it. It's a lot to commit to.
Yeah, I think
For the top cut, 100%.
for the top 16, yeah.
Top 16, 100%.
I wouldn't have minded just going, right, Steve, like at the end of day 2, I was in like 30th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of happy there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have, and I did actually say, I was like, well, I'll see who my next round opponent is on day 3. And if I like them, I'll play them. And if I don't, I probably won't. That was kind of my attitude.
You almost didn't play him because you hate Ben, don't you?
I know. In fact, when I drew Ben, I was like, Ben, yes, I'll play you. So anyway, I was exhausted. And even when playing Ben, I said to Ben, mate, I said, I'm really sorry. I'm not even giving you a great game here because I'm just so tired. I think maybe my situation was a little bit different from maybe some other people's.
Yeah.
The amount of extra, like
Extracurricular activities.
extracurricular activities I had to do was pretty insane.
Yes.
Which we'll come on to. But yeah, it was pretty intense for me. And I've kind of said this before, that when I play in a tournament now, especially at a large convention like the LBO or something like Warhammer Fest, playing is actually such a secondary, tertiary thing for me.
Yeah.
The amount of amazing people I met, all you at home that came up to me and said, oh, Steve, I love what you do at VT. That is the most important thing to me. Mm-hmm. It really is. And I probably, looking back, would have preferred just to hang around and meet more people from you guys at home that watch. I'd have much rather to have 2,000 conversations with incredible people that love VT, and we can share and engage in a hobby that we absolutely love, than me worry too much about whether Distillation Marines are going to table me turn 1.
Yeah.
Like I'd much prefer to do that at that type of an event.
Yeah.
For me personally, right?
And I will do a quick shout out there. So a shout out to any of the people that while we were playing our games, came along, said hi and everything, but very respectfully didn't try and bother us or interfere with the game, just left us to it.
Yeah.
And that's really great. Thank you so much for that.
And it's not because we mind, it's also because, like, for example, I had to say to some of my opponents, hey, I might get interrupted today.
Yeah.
I hope you don't mind. And it's, I'm trying to give my 100% focus to my opponent.
Exactly, out of respect.
Yeah, so a simple hello, brilliant.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ask me about my list and stuff. We can talk about that after.
Yeah, find me later.
Yeah,
and,
we'll have a chat.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely,
it. So,
absolutely. So thank you.
yeah, I was pretty, and then I had to do something with the Kill Team Live. We'll come on to the content creator Kill Team Live thing, because that was awesome. That was my real highlight, which we'll come to.
Yeah.
So what was the question you actually asked me? 9 rounds. It was
forgotten
about 9 rounds.
Yes, 9 rounds. What's your opinion of a 9-round event?
Just needs to be 6.
Yeah.
Unless you make the top cut, is my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think the tournament's actual rankings for anybody that wasn't in the top cut should have just been after 6 rounds.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to play games for trophies for best of that bracket, you can do on the 3rd day if you really want to. But it doesn't affect your overall ranking, I don't think.
I agree, and I think also they could have just gone, right, so who's making the top 16? Mm-hmm. I can't make it tomorrow, okay, no worries, so we'll look at number 17.
Yeah.
That's how you then get your top 16.
Yeah, agreed.
I think that would have been cool, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. So we have had a £5 super chat from Andy Tech Dad.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, lovely to meet y'all in person this weekend. Much love.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks, Andy.
Likewise.
Yeah, really appreciate that, mate.
We also got another $5 super chat from Primal Warfrog saying, when 2 wins, 3 losses at 114 person tournament recently, played shooty, mostly slappy Necrons with the Void Dragon, both wins against Marines. You guys are great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, great work. Keep working on that. George, try not to lean on the desk.
Okay.
Sorry, mate, because I just noticed it wobble. The camera goes up and down. Yeah. Sorry, mate. The front camera is attached to a desk, which
Which I'm knocking.
Yeah, it's all good. I just noticed that.
Any other questions?
Well, we got a $20 super chat from Mandy D.
Thank you.
Mandy legend.
Okay, when it comes to going to tournaments, I know that army list supply prep is needed, but what about personal physical prep? Standing for hours, being able to focus while it's loud around you, etc. What's your way to prep?
So I think you can't really do this in any short of time. This is something in which, if you are able to make sure you go to the event hydrated, so in the week leading, ensure you are drinking, 2 to 3 litres a day of water. When you're at the event, ensure you're remaining hydrated. Try not to have too many late nights in the week leading. Limit your alcohol consumption. And, if you can as well, then try to, as much as you possibly can, increase your activity levels. Every single day of your life, you should try to aim to do something. Whether it's going to the gym, going for a walk, doing Zumba, badminton, doesn't matter what you do something. And then the more physical able you are, the more you will be able to withstand a 6-9 round event standing on your feet for 9 hours. Now, there were chairs there at Warhammer Fest.
There were.
Yes. And that was a nice little touch.
It was good.
There was great room around the tables.
Yeah.
Good touch Warhammer, love that. So you could sit down whilst playing, but I always find when I'm sat down, I'm not so involved in the game. I can't really see the line of sight, so I'm not checking for the units. I think I'm a better player when I'm stood up looking over the table than when I'm stood down. So sat down. So yes, you can sit down, but at the end of the day, try to do some stretches as well. Wear comfortable shoes.
As for the sound thing, if you're going to play a practice game, maybe try putting the speakers on and crowd noises in the background. Maybe that'll help you prep for...
You can't really do too much about the sound, unfortunately. Yeah.
No, just be as respectful to your opponent as possible. Like, if they can't hear you, just say it again. Don't get mad.
Shout real loud.
And if you have to move around to their side of the table just to talk to them. But yeah, the sound, there's not much you can do about it.
Any more questions?
There's quite a few. So Donny Evason has said, What was Mike's favourite and least favourite game of the event with his NIDS list, and how did he feel about his games throughout the event?
Well, my least favourite was obviously you, Donnie. So I'm joking. That was actually one of my favourites, second favourite, I think.
Of course you'd say that.
Yeah, unfortunately, my last one was just a little too tight with the world eaters. That was there was a very cerebral. Two combat armies hitting each other is very different to a combat army versus a shooting army. And then my worst game was, unfortunately, against a player who took a huge amount of time doing anything that I actually did sit down for the majority of the game.
Out of boredom.
Out of boredom. A few other bits where there were disrespectful stuff, but I could go on about that.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll talk about that in a podcast episode or something.
Yeah, that's pretty disappointing.
It was, one of the worst games I've had in a while, actually.
Yeah.
Not a great experience, but
There
the
we
good
go.
ones were fantastic and definitely made up for it. Likewise, thank you, Donnie, for such a fantastic game.
Legend. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
So we received a £4.99 donation from James Place. No comment attached to it though, unfortunately.
Well,
That's right. If you
I've
might
got a
have one
question.
lower down.
Yeah.
If you find it, then yeah, let us know.
And then a £5 donation from Liam Dempsey saying remain hydrated with beer, right?
No, Liam.
It's not the same thing as hydrated.
No, Liam. I also caveat that
opposite.
with limit alcohol consumption. Okay.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for your super chat. and
Drink responsibly.
It's great to see you, mate. Yeah. Drink responsibly. Yeah, I like that.
That's
Drink
what the
responsibly.
adverts say, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
For alcohol, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
That's a good advert, Mike. I like it.
Yeah.
We did also
The
have...
Cane Monster like is going out of fashion.
Yeah, literally. The 0 calories one, okay?
Of course. It's got to be.
Obviously,
It's got to be that white silvery one.
Oh,
yeah.
that's the best one. You've got me hooked on that now, Steve.
Sorry.
That's the one I drink all the time now.
Sorry, not sorry.
We did have a message from Chris Anderson as well. He said, what would you guys change in next fest if you were Games Workshop?
What would I change if I was Games Workshop? All right, I've got a few things I think.
Okay, you want to bash some of those out?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, okay. Or should we save them for the end, or?
Well, super
Well,
chat
Chris
is, right?
Yeah, all right then.
So I would have liked to have seen more games to take part in.
Like mini games and things.
I would have loved to have seen a massive Helm's Deep. Right?
Yeah.
A massive Helm's Deep with like 3 or 4 members of staff going, right, we're going to do a 10-person game here. You come over, you can play Legolas, you can play Gimli, because that is actually how I first ever started playing Lord of the Rings. That was what got me playing Warhammer, was somebody in a Games Workshop store giving me Aragon to go kill a cave troll. Right? And I felt like we could have had the Mines of Moria.
Yeah.
We could have had like a Battle for Middle-earth, like area where you could play Minas Tirith, you could have played Helm's Deep, you could have played the Mines of Moria, right? Then we could have had a Warcry section.
Yeah.
We could have had like a kind of more timey board, like, old Imperial.
Old world,
you could kind of have a bit of, go and try Warcry. And then you could try a bit of Age of Sigmar, and then a bit of 40k, and then, you got the whole crew, but a bit more like getting people into those games. Because if I play 40k, I don't want to have to sit and read a rule book to see if I like it.
Yeah.
I want a bit of a taster session.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'd have loved. Also, the try and play tent thing, I'd have loved to have seen more tables.
Yeah.
Because when I did the trial at 8th edition, you had a small little table like this, like a kind of kill team equivalent size, and I queued for maybe 20 minutes. And I think there was like
It's an improvement.
I think there was like 30 tables in that room.
Yeah.
And you just played out, a captain and a unit, and you got to got to know the, stuff like that. And I thought, they had 4 tables, and there was lots of people crowd around it, and some of the missions they kind of did look quite cool. But I thought maybe smaller, more frequent, just to give people a bit of a taster. Kind of around that could have been quite cool as well. So that's more from like a playing experience.
Yeah.
Now, this is one thing I would have absolutely loved, and a massive thank you to Games Workshop for letting us do this, along with Cult of Paint, is they let us have our little kind of VT meetup area.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could, we had a time slot where we could, put our tables down, put the banners up, and talk to people about VT, some of the things that we offer, and just have that time to meet people and speak to them properly, away from the gaming section.
Yes.
I would have loved a permanent stand all weekend.
That would have been cool.
And I probably wouldn't have played in the tournament.
No.
I'd have stood there, you know, had selfies with people, answered people's questions, helped them with their army list.
Yeah.
And it would have been great, you know, to see Liam have one.
Yeah.
You know, Cult of Paint have their C Studios, you know, Tabletop Tactics, everybody to have their own little stand where, and then all of a sudden you're like, actually, I don't mind if I've got to wait a bit to play the 10th edition, because actually I can go and see that content creator I really like.
Yeah.
Because I think the content creators do so much for Games Workshop in a way.
Yes.
And I know that's reciprocal completely. It's a two-way street, right? It absolutely is. And Games Workshop were awesome to content creators. We had really good fun, and I had a great time and an absolute blast. So it's not knocking that. It's like, how do we amplify what we already have and make it something in which is like an expo? Like I'm used to going to Body Power.
Right.
All right, where you've got talks from certain people. So they could have gone, oh, Steve and Mike, do a demo game. Could have done that, couldn't we? That would have been pretty cool for, you know, 40k or whatever.
Yeah, cool.
You know, we got, you know, for example, a round table of James from Siege in, you know, Henry from Cult of Paint. They're going to chat to you about non-metallic metal painting versus normal metallic painting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or whatever.
Yeah.
We could have had loads of cool stuff, like little talks going on. Aside from then, obviously, you've got the previews. And then that way, it's a lot more interactive. And I think people would have been dispersed doing lots of different things.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have just been in like some sort of queues to do a couple of things. It would have been a much more diverse experience.
Yeah.
That's what I'd have loved to see in the future Games Workshop if I had like one wish list, of all those things I just mentioned. But it's not to say that, like I said, I had a bad time. I'm just thinking, how do we like go, you know, how do we 10x it? How do we go next level?
Yeah.
How do we make it absolutely sick and awesome for minimal effort as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, your content creators, your previewing, you know, contenters that are like always on the ball, pushing it forward. Right, how many have we got? We've got 20, 30. Cool. 20, 30 tables. Right, guys, this is what we recommend you bring. A couple of banners, nice tablecloth, you know, some leaflets or whatever you want to talk about. Yeah. Cool. Make your stands look awesome. Yeah. Here's our brand guidelines. You know, we could have some good like structure to it so everybody rocks up with what's looking like a pretty professional setup and not a load of junk. And I think that could be cool. So yeah, that's my wishes for the future.
Yeah, I think that'd be really, really cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to also see this as one other thing, like maybe they could set up a projector, because there's all of the tables for the tournament, but it'd be good if they could set up like a projector and above, like at the far end of the hall, so that all of the tournament players could just stop for a minute and watch the previews.
Oh, cool! That'd be nice.
Like that would be really cool. And then they just say, "Here's a 5-minute interlude.
Yeah.
Here's this big reveal." So I felt I was really missing out.
I did actually, yeah.
You know, the only reason I heard about some of this stuff and saw some of these miniatures is because Jordan Kobe popped by our tables. He was like, "Have you seen the new Screamer Killer?" And I'm like, "No, I hadn't had a chance to see anything." So yeah, I would love something like that.
Yeah, nice. I like it. Any other questions?
Yeah, we've got a few.
Yeah, okay.
So James Place added his comment. He said, "Great to meet Michael and chat all things Guard and Night Lords. Saw Steve and Jake, but both deep in their game, so didn't want to disturb them. Excited for your 10th ed lessons."
Awesome.
Thank you very much. And and again, we spoke to a lot of people about the Accelerator course, which was brilliant. So if you are looking to, join our Accelerator program, the Accelerator program is designed for anybody at the moment that has a reasonable understanding of 9th edition.
Yes.
You don't need to be an expert. No. Okay, as long as you've got a baseline understanding of the core rules of 9th, the Accelerator course will help you get to grips with 10th very quickly and smoothly, and you'll get loads of hints and tricks along the way in that week-long course. And then the Academy course is going to come a little bit after that.
Yeah.
So if you've done the Accelerator, you'll be asked, hey, would you like to join the Academy, a couple of weeks later. So that Accelerator course is going to help you get your rules correct, make sure that you're not left behind, and make sure you've got 100% clarity on how to play 10th edition. And we're going to nail that in the first week, that you get your hands on the rules. You're going to get it, and we're going to be live every single day to help you answer your questions and have a really awesome 10th launch party, basically, So join the Accelerator, links below.
Yeah, fantastic. And if you can't catch us live, it's all recorded content, it's all video lessons, you can watch at your own pace, with a few downloads as well.
So, so the course is all pre-recorded, but we can do live additional support for that week, to help you.
Yeah, cool.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so Jose Kajangling has done a $4.99 super chat. And he said, who was your favourite opponent in Fest?
Mine?
Or both of you?
So my favourite opponent, I mean, okay, so we haven't even gone into my games yet.
No.
But, shall I quickly run through my games?
Yeah, okay, yeah, cool.
We'll come back to one of them.
Yes.
But round one, I played
Yeah.
against a guy called Daniel, I believe, and he was running Zinch Demons.
Cool, okay.
He actually said to me, Steve, I've watched your tournament prep series, so if you lose this game, you can only blame yourself. I was like, cool, well, if you win the event, I want a great testimonial from you.
Yeah.
Daniel was an absolute gent as well, because he was my round one opponent, and I think I had about 30 people come up to me round one, say, oh, Steve, you all right? You know, and I forgot my psychic phase twice.
Yeah.
He let me go back and do it the first time, and then the second time I forgot. I said, no, Daniel, look, this is on me. No, you know, I appreciate you offering, but it was just like to cast a guide or something. But I was like, hey, don't worry about it. We're all good. We played against Zinch Demons. We had a great game. We had a really, really nice, fun game. So that was super fun. My round two was against Paulie with his Drakari.
Yeah, nice,
Legend.
nice.
Me and him have played before. Again, great game that was as well. You know, we had a really nice chilled game.
Yeah.
Paulie had brought a bit more of a thematic army, which is super cool as well. So we
nice.
had that.
Nice.
Round three was against World Eaters Ryan Kerr. Me and him had played at LGT a couple of years back. When I was running Sisters, he was running Grey Knights.
Yeah.
And that was probably the most emotional roller coaster of a game I've ever had. It was just absolutely obscene. Like, you know, like on your dice, right? You expect the bell curve of like, you know, majority of the dice should fall in the middle when you're rolling to hit, wound, and save,
Yeah.
And turn one didn't go as good as it could have for me. You know, like I went into combat and I rolled 0 mortal wounds with my big brick of scorpions.
Right, okay.
You're like, oh, that would have been quite nice just to finish off a couple of 8-pound. But that's... And then, I mean, equally to that, Ryan had some pretty bad saves in another place and some bad hits. So that all that averages out. What doesn't average out is when you're only required to make 3 morale checks on your 3 really powerful 50-point X-arcs, and you only fail them on a 6, and each result you roll is a 6, and you lose every single one of those. And then...
That's pretty shocking, actually.
And it was just like... and then, Ryan I forgot that the World Eaters move when you shoot them, right? The Berserkers. And I was like, why have I got that close to them? I had no need to get there with my Warp Spiders. So I kind of battle focused back. Anyway, he charged me. So the Warp Spiders can jump away 6. I managed to jump away a bit to get out of range from most of them. Anyway, he kills one model in combat because only one could fart or something.
Yeah.
He then kills my Wave Serpent.
Okay.
That was next to it.
Yeah.
With the Eviscerator.
Yeah.
That explodes.
Of course.
Right. And then kills another model.
Okay.
I then fail morale, lose another model. And I'm like, I did have a 5-man unit and now I've got 1 left in the unit and I can't now move when do my R&D. So it was just like one of those crazy... And then a Zerman goes into the Lord Invocatus, right? And I bang in 3 6s to wound because they all do D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
And Ryan was like, cool, yep, 4 up Invan passed, yep, 4 up Invan passed, yep, 4 up Invan passed. So all my flat 3 digit damage didn't go. I was like, right, okay, well, I've got 3 D3 mortal wounds, let's go. Rolled them all, 1, 1, 1. I was like, cool. And then Ryan goes, no worries, I'll roll my Feel No Pains. Cool, 6, 6, 6. I was like, great. Didn't do a single wound to the Lord Invocatus. Anyway, just funny. You just couldn't write it. Anyway. Yeah. So that was just a funny game. So that was
okay. So it wasn't the best one.
Well,
but it's up there.
Oh, it could have been the best one. It was a good game, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good game. Really good. That one.
So the next one was the worst one, but we can talk about that separately.
The round 4 was one of the worst games of 40k I've ever had to endure.
Okay, stay tuned. Round 5.
Yeah, Necrons.
Yeah.
And this was from David from Glasshammer. And I looked at his arm and I was like, mate, what? And he was like, I brought a filthy list.
So this was on Data Scry Salvage.
I know.
And I don't really know how you managed this one.
I don't. Me and David had a great game though.
Yeah.
And basically, I did the shepherd approach. And I went for basically, when I played Kobe, I did the same technique.
Okay.
It's called the full shepherding. And what you do is you just use all your models like they're sheepdogs and you don't let them out the pen.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just don't let...
You've lost me.
You've never been a shepherd before?
I haven't
Use
had
your
the pleasure,
sheep. Use your
unfortunately.
sheepdog to keep your sheep in a certain area.
Hold on. Have you been a shepherd before?
Yeah, in that game and against Kobe.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not called
Yeah,
being
yeah.
a shepherd, it's called abuse. That's what it is.
Whatever. So yeah,
Right. So, sorry, can you... I have no idea what you're talking about.
So what I basically did was so David was running like a massive brick of the flying destroyers,
Okay, yeah.
the big destroyers with the big guns,
Okay.
2 bricks of Scorpec destroyers,
Yes.
no, 3 bricks, and then 3 bricks of 9 scarabs.
Cool.
Right, so it's just like body after body after wound after wound after
Like
wound.
200 wounds or something.
Oh my god. And turn 1, I just charged in with everything.
Right, okay.
Like we're talking a unit of Banshees, 2 units of Scorpions, a unit of my War Walkers.
Right, so you just went all in.
And I just created an entire box around his deployment zone. Oh, he also had 12 Wraiths in that list as well.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
And I just had to kind of pen it in.
Yeah.
And then every turn he kind of brought something out. I was like, right, I'll deal with that unit, I'll deal with this unit, I'll deal with that unit. And I just about got the win, but me and David had a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Such a slog getting through. I would love to know how many wounds are in that army. And then obviously you add on reanimation all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
of course.
And it gets a bit silly.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah.
Game 6 was Chaos Knights?
Chaos Knights, yeah. So awesome game, this one.
Yeah.
This was an awesome game. And again, there was this one moment where I ended up losing my Wave Serpent. I committed so much in the middle of the table to kill this one little knight that you can't, it's basically got trans-hitman on him.
Okay.
Right, I committed so much to kill him.
Yeah.
Right, and the Banshee Exarch goes in on a 1-up, does a mortal wound, rolled a 1.
On a 2-up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, on a 2-up.
Yeah.
So basically, anything but a 1, I do a mortal wound. Roll a 1. Right, great. That's fine. It's fine. Everybody, don't worry. I've got another ability. Charges in. Obviously with the
Heart Strike.
the other thing that allows me to do D3 plus 1.
Oh, Crone's Green.
Rolled another 1.
Cool, of course.
So no mortal wounds. I was like, come on, Steve. Failed my smite, so I didn't get that off.
Nice.
And then put a sermon in. I put a unit of Banshees in. I put Jane Czar in. I put a Wave Serpent in. I still didn't kill it. Left it to like 2 wounds left. And obviously, if any of those mortal wounds would have gone through, he then attacked my Wave Serpent, took it down to enough wounds, and then did enough mortal wounds to it in the morale phase for some sort of stratagem or something.
Yeah.
It then exploded, and then I lost some Scorpions that were inside the Wave Serpent, and then that exploded. I lost some Scorpions when they got out. Then I did 3 mortal wounds to each of my Phoenix Lords. Bit of a problem when you're phase capped. And then he was like, cool, I've got this other strat where you just like take more mortals. So I took some more. And then cool, the Scorpions failed their morale check. And I was like, oh my days, here we go again. It was just like absolutely bonkers. But just about got the win there. But we had an awesome game.
Yeah.
We really did. It was just like absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a bloody great game. It may be probably one of my favourites actually.
Okay.
And my opponent was just an absolute gentleman.
Yeah.
It really, really was. Fantastic, sportsmanship. We had some great discussions. So, yeah, I played Ben Jones, obviously, in the last round. Ben's obviously an always amazing opponent.
Yeah.
So I played 7 games. And at that point, I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
I really was, so I dropped out from the event. But I
Yeah.
played 7 games, 6 of them, amazing opponents, great games, great interactions, great sportsmanship, loads of laugh and tears and sweat and blood and everything else that, makes an awesome game of 40k, apart from 1 game.
Right, but who was your favourite one? That was the question.
I think looking back, it was probably the Chaos Knight game.
Okay.
It was just, me and my opponents had a real chill, fun game, yeah.
Chill, good, tactical, respectful,
and
it was
also
challenging and all that.
And I hadn't played him before either,
Yeah.
so it was a new experience.
Yeah.
I'd played majority of the other people before,
Right.
and we've always had great games, but I think that one really will stand out to me, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Do we have any other questions?
So Joshua Burdine, apologies if I've said that wrong. Congrats on finishes at Warhammer Fest, gents.
Thank you.
Frank Snide?
Snade.
Yeah.
$4.99. how to keep bad games from ruining the entire event. Love you guys.
That's a good question for us both.
So,
I was lucky because mine was the third round of the first day.
Yeah.
So I could just go to dinner
Yeah.
and just not think about it.
Yeah.
And I could just moan.
Get it off your chest.
Get it off my chest.
We had a nice dinner, didn't we?
I had a lovely dinner, and that was fine for me. But yours was the first one on the second day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And what made it worse, better, I don't know, was I had an amazing opportunity where Dice Breakers, awesome YouTube channel, they said they would like to make a documentary on my progress through the tournament.
Awesome.
That was amazing. And they said, we'll be there Sunday, do as best as you can on the Saturday, and we'll see where you're getting on the Sunday morning. So come over Saturday morning, said to my opponent, hey, got a documentary team following me, is that cool? Yeah, it's fine, cool. I'd met this person before.
Sunday morning.
Yeah. And so they're like, yeah, cool, documentary's fine, yeah, cool. So they set up their filming, we had 2 cameras, and I had to possibly get a referee around at least 12 times, I would say, to this game.
Oof. That's bad.
It was not the game I want people back home to see.
No.
Like, we had 6 other amazing games they could have filmed.
Yeah.
And witnessed all the amazing things that Warhammer 40k does.
Yeah.
And to put that into perspective, Ben Jones, when I first met him, he tabled me in 2 turns with 9 Eldar planes. And Ben has been my best friend ever since. So it's not like...
Sorry, I just got flashbacks there. That's classic Ben, that.
So it's not like the result of a game matters. It's the person you are, and the interactions you have, and that's what makes an amazing 40k experience. But this game was not that one.
No.
However, what it did bring up is the opportunity to have another conversation about sportsmanship, fair play, and most importantly, being accountable for your actions. Okay? So the first thing there's difference in rules, right? So one of the first things that happened that we rolled off to see who went first.
Okay.
It was Eldar. My opponent goes first.
Right.
Rolls a 6. I was like, cool, I'm going second then. Not great. Probably going to lose the game.
Okay.
They won the roll off to get the first drop, won the roll off to go first.
Okay.
And I said to the documentary team, with the terrain as it is and what's happened, I'm probably going to lose this game, just so you know. But I'm going to play for as many points as I possibly can. That's what I'm going to try and do.
Yeah.
That's my mindset, right? Just play for points.
Yeah.
And my opponent goes, we roll off for redeploys. I said, no, I don't think that's how we do it. And I said, look, we check step 13 of setting up for the table. And it says there that we start with the player who's going first. So and they were like, okay, because in my codex it says something different or whatever. I was like, yeah, no worries. Like, that's just a,
Like, if you didn't read that bit, you're not gonna.
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
That's fine.
That's not like getting your rules wrong necessarily. That's just me saying, hey, this was written after, and this is basically what it is. They read it. Yeah, cool. We agree. This is how you would do it. Had the exact same thing happen at LVO. We got the judges. They were like, yeah, sure. This is what you do. Cool. Got it. So that's fine. The next one was the problem.
Okay.
And they advanced a unit of bikes over, the Shroud Runners, into my deployment zone.
Right.
Because they wanted all 3 models to touch dense terrain.
Okay.
So that in their next turn, they'd get -1 to hit, right?
Right.
And they get +2 to their cover when they're in terrain.
Right.
And they can then, anyway, get behind enemy lines as well.
Yeah.
So that was their idea.
Okay.
All right. And we come to the shooting phase, and they went, I'm going to shoot my unit. And I said, you advanced there? And I would normally expect someone to go, oh yeah, I forgot I advanced.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
Like, I completely forgot, sorry about that. Like, that happens in a normal game of 40k.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to play a 100% game, correct.
Yeah.
This next bit got me.
Okay.
They went, I can. Because that's battle focus. Now, battle focus is the army-wide rule for Eldar. And what it allows you to do is shoot assault weapons or pistol weapons, but without basically taking any negative.
Right, okay.
It explicitly says not heavy weapons.
Cool.
So now at this stage of the game, turn 1, I've just realised now my opponent has got their army-wide rule incorrect
For the past 3 games.
for the past 3 games, and they're undefeated. They also would have got this wrong for any of the tournaments they've been to, any of the test games or practice games that they've had leading up to this experience. And there's certain, in my book, there is certain rules I'm forgiving when people get wrong.
Yeah.
But your army-wide rule, getting that wrong, you either, especially when you're 3-0, you need to go, either I've had a massive mare here, I need to step away and go and speak to a TO about how I remedy this, because I've essentially just prevented my previous 3 or 4 or 5 opponents from proceeding through the tournament because I didn't read my army rule. That's pretty big.
That's a huge one, especially on the layout of terrain and everything else as well.
Yeah.
Massive.
Now he had 2 Unity Shroud Runners and a Falcon.
I will clarify really quickly. He was playing Inari, so there is a craft world trait where you can counter stationary after moving and advancing.
Yeah.
He wasn't using that.
No.
Carry on.
So it's very, to put it into perspective, it's kind of like, just picking like an extra rule to have available, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, I kind of looked at my opponent, I thought, I was expecting a bit more from their reaction and
Right.
go, so I got one of the TO over and I just said, look, hey, just to let you know, my opponent, and I just said, they've been using heavy weapons to advance. Can you just check that's not the case with Battle Focus? Yeah. And they were like, yeah, don't do that again. And I was thinking, I would have liked a little bit more than that, to be honest. Because it's not even against me, because I've caught it. Like, it doesn't impact my game right now because I've stopped it from happening.
Yeah.
But the previous 3 games, I was a bit upset for.
Yeah.
All right, so that was the first thing. And then we had an interaction where I let them move their Death Jester because they basically didn't take into consideration the obscuring terrain, so I let them remove their Death Jester.
Right.
I was like, yeah, sure, you want to move your Death Jester again to, get line of sight on my...
So he tried to shoot you through an obscuring building?
Yeah. I was like, oh, fine, whatever, yeah, sure, move him, cool. And then he asked me, would I let him, and that was already earlier in the movement phase, before we got to this weird interaction with the advancing, and he said, well, I'll just move them then. I just won't advance them. I was like, no, you can't get behind enemy lines and be on dense and declare you're advancing and now not want to go back because you've been caught out that you played your army rule wrong. For me, no. Like,
that's a long way to go.
You're now making it on me that I'm being unsporting. I've already given you a pretty significant go back where I lost a War Walker because of it. And I'm not even sure they were in range after measuring it back out later on in the afternoon. So for me, that was a big no-no. But then a load of other things started to happen throughout that game.
Yeah.
They weren't being clear with me what they were shooting at what.
Yeah.
So for example, I had like their Falcon. They wanted to shoot my Wave Serpent. They went, right, Falcon's shooting at the Wave Serpent. I was like, okay, cool. So they rolled out the Pulse Cannon.
Right.
Killed it, my Wave Serpent. And then started shooting other guns at other units. And I was like, whoa. No. You decided to put all the guns on the Wave Serpent.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, but the little ones weren't in range. Well, it's not really my problem because you didn't say to me what they would...
I'm going to shoot the...
Yeah. Because I could have used a defensive stratagem like -1 to hit or something along those lines. They then tried to make the Incarn -1 to hit, which is a monster. It explicitly says you can't do that on that. And I was like, you've probably done that in other games as well. And then we got to the point, I had a referee watching at this point, and I was attacking, I think it might have been the Incarn or whatever, or some sort of thing. And I said, oh, you failed 4 saves or whatever, it's dead. And they went, no, I failed 3. I put a fate dice in. But they had rolled 4, the ref had and what he had done is basically picked up a fate dice, took out a failed and put it in. So he was rolling fate dice, and I was like... So at this point, I just stepped away from the table and just let the referee chat. So he was like, no, that's not how you do it. And the referee had a discussion with him, and I was like... I was just so confused. I was like, you've told me you failed 4, and you've got like 4 wounds left. How are you not this? So I was real confused.
Yeah.
So, but what made it worse? The documentary team were filming me.
Yeah.
And we had stuff like where I had 2 models like this apart. Okay. I had like a Banshee and like a Scorpion here, and Jane Czar there, and a Banshee unit like here, right? Kind of over there. And they were like, cool, I'm going to charge both Jane Czar and the Scorpions. And I was like, well, I don't think you can.
You literally can't get into engagement range.
So then so he picked up his model and put it here and was like, yeah, I think I'm within an inch of both. And I was like, well, I don't think you are. But as a referee just there, we'll just ask them. That makes this way easier rather than, you and I chatting about this. Because I think this is trying to push your luck.
Yeah.
There's 40k where you're like, don't try and take the limit on everything. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I got a ref over and they were like, yeah, no. And then they wanted a second opinion. I was like, oh my God. So at this point, the referee was, the dice breaker team were like, oh, so Steve, what's happening? I was like, oh, so here's what's happening. Me and my opponent are debating whether my opponent could get their model within an inch of us. So I've just got a TO over, so I don't have to make a decision. And I don't have to talk to my opponent about it. The TO can just make a decision. Second opinion comes in. Yeah, no way. No, you can't get within an inch. So he went, okay, cool, I'll redeclare and declared both those units. I was like, sorry, what now? You're declaring another unit you didn't even declare in the first instance, but sure, at this point, I'm beyond it. Like, I'm just beyond able to cope.
I still can't deal with the fact that that's how he thought fate dice worked.
Yeah, I know, but anyway. So
I failed. I just put some 6s in. I'm sure that's how it works. That's fair.
And I said, I remember saying, you ain't got any CPs. How can you put a 6 in? Because you can't. You got to spend a CP to re-roll it. But I said, you can't re-roll. You got no CPs.
If he's been doing that for like the past 3 games, then there's no way you could lose, right?
No. So this boggles my mind. You've got your 2 army-wide rules in wrong, and you've been making the Incarn lightning fast and making it -1 to hit. You're not declaring what you're shooting. You're not even declaring what you're charging. There was another instance where he picked up his model, go, I'll just use a charge dice, and just rammed it in.
After he rolled, obviously. And he puts it in.
No. So, no, this time he was like, oh, I just rolled a dice, put a 6 in, and then decided where he was going to go. I was like, no. Isn't that how that works? You still need to declare.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I don't know if I can fit my base in. But now I don't know your original position of the first unit because you didn't mark it. So I can't even now challenge how far you are away if you roll a 1. Because, that could be like an 8. If that could be a fail.
You moved it before rolling? Or as they rolled? Oh, for God's sake.
So I was just like... So anyway, I was pretty hacked off. Having to get multiple referees over, and all referees had a discussion with them like, hey, can you please declare what you're rolling or say what you're going to do and do this and do that, and that's not how this works and blah. And so in my lunch break, I wrote down everything that this player did, in my opinion. Now, some of it is strictly my opinion. Now, bear in mind, I did get a rule wrong. Okay. There was a time when I tried to fall back with a unit in charge and also fall back and shoot in charge with a unit.
Okay.
And they happen to be on the same stratagem. Okay. And it's like 1 CP if you do one thing or 2 CPs if you want to do both.
Did he catch that?
Yeah.
Oh, so you remembered that rule?
He remembered that one specifically. Okay, cool. And I was like, because I said, I'll just fall back with the Scorpion in and spend a CP to fall back in charge. And, 5-10 minutes early with the movement phase, I'd already declared it with the D cannons. Right. He's like, oh, you've already declared it over there. I was like, yeah, of course I have. Yeah, stupid me. So, look, you will get things wrong. Oh, yeah. But there comes a point where you're like, yeah, maybe one thing when you're in the heat of the moment, you're like, oh yeah, I want to fall back and charge it. Oh yeah, I've got a CP, I'll change that. Oh, you've already spent it. Of course I have. There's a difference between the two, in my opinion anyway. So yeah, but yeah, basically it was pretty bad, the list of things. And what I then did was I sent it to Games Workshop, the TOs, and I said, look, this is what happened. So they knew what to watch out for. Yeah. And then in the next game, this player was playing Mike Porter, and he tried to do the fate dice thing again. Yeah. So then the referee said, look, Mike, can you please step away from the table? He had a chat with him, and they docked him 10 points of that game. Because they just caught him doing something that they'd already caught him doing in the previous...
Is that it? They just docked him 10 points?
Yeah. Now, apparently at the time in the game, it was quite close. But...
So?
For me, I feel like, we could have ramped that up a little bit.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Even in my game, after having 4 different judges over at different times. Now, I did say to workshop, I said, look, guys, it probably wasn't great that 5 of you came over at different situations. It would have been better for one judge to see all 5 or 6 different instances that the other judges saw.
Yeah.
Because then it would have actually magnified in that referee's mind, oh, hang on a minute, there's a lot of stuff here that I'm not really happy with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And and if the referee wasn't happy with any of my thing, then I would have been more than happy for them to come and talk to me.
Yeah.
So I said to them, look, at 12 o'clock, I am leaving this game. I'm hard dice downing, I'm just leaving, I'm picking up my models, I'm conceding. I do not want to be here for a second longer. They said, no, we don't want that to be the case because we want it to come to a conclusion. I said, well, I don't want to play this game any longer. Anyway, so my opponent just picks up their Star Weaver, in process, picking up a sermon, dropping him on his head, and he loses his sword. That really that one hurt. I spent more time building a sermon than I did in that game, So anyway, always have respect for your opponent's models. My
opponent was picking mine up after he'd killed them and taking them off the table.
Well, yeah, they needed to die apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between, do you like me to pass these models over? Oh yeah, sure, if you weren't mine, because they're miles away, I'd appreciate that. There's a difference between doing that and just going, cool, they're dead, sure. Anyway, so the 10 points were removed.
Okay.
They then went on into their next game.
Okay.
Right, and played another lad that, I know well, Chris, and I ended up getting a message from Chris around midnight.
Okay.
Saying that Steve can have a chat with you. I played someone you played earlier, and they tried to do some things against me that I had no clue they could do.
Yeah.
And they told me the instances. I said, look, you need to tell a TO.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to tell a TO first thing in the morning. I said, I'll point you at the person you need to speak to. And anyway, he did, Chris did, and then the resolution was that this person then, their last game was revoked. There was enough people to witness what had happened for Games Workshop to say, right, in your last game, game 6, we're going to award the other player the win.
Yeah.
And then apparently this player decided to leave the event.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like at that time, it would have been better for Games Workshop to go, look, you've been warned in my game.
Mm-hmm.
We then caught you again and we gave you a penalty, albeit light.
Yeah.
At this point, rather than taking a game from them, look, go enjoy Warhammer Fest, but the event's over.
Yes.
No more tournament play for you. And I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more kind of like...
Sorry, hold on. So they gave the victory to Chris.
Yeah.
Right. But the guy was allowed to come back and play on the 3rd day.
I think so. I think that was the... and they... Yeah.
I
think that was the general gist of it. But obviously, because it is Fest... They don't necessarily want to be too stern with people, but again, it's a proceed. And they did say to me, we've never had to escalate anything to that level before. And I said, but then if I wouldn't have documented everything that had happened in my game and given it to you as evidence, and also I wrote down which referee saw what instance, so they could, go, hey, did you see that? Yeah, I did actually see him do that.
Yeah.
How many people are actually holding their players to that level of accountability? Because I went to that length because it really irks me.
Yeah.
And I had 2 film crew on the game the entire time. So everything I said was backed up in the video footage.
Well, you can be sure that kind of thing happens and probably has happened at one of their events before.
Yeah.
It's just nobody's sort of, maybe they've not noticed it.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't know Eldar as well as you do.
Yeah. So I asked Simon, who played him in the round before me, and I said, out of this list of things, can you just tick anything that that they did?
Yeah.
And I didn't say what the context was, and he just ticked about 4 or 5 things that he could guarantee, that absolutely definitely happened. Yeah. But Simon doesn't know Eldar, so he didn't really challenge it, and he was like, I'm just here for a casual time. That's fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, so...
That's a shame.
So 2 things I want to see happen really going forward is I want players to become more accountable for their inactions. Mm-hmm. If you are undefeated and you realise that you are getting your rules wrong, drop from the event. If they've had a significant impact in your games, drop from the event, do the decent thing.
Yeah.
Who cares if you don't score any ITC points that round? Yeah. I think everyone would give you...
Especially if you're on 3 wins. Like, if you're on 2 wins...
Do you know what? The best thing to do is
win.
go to your previous 3 opponents, apologise, let them know what you did incorrectly, drop from the event, and I can imagine most of those people go, yeah, fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play for being responsible and accountable for your actions.
Yeah. They probably at that point would be like, I actually don't want you to drop from the event, but you should do it anyway.
You should absolutely do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should absolutely do. So what if you don't get some ITT points for an event? Who cares? So what if you don't get a golden ticket? Get the next one, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I also want to see organisers, tournament organisers, step it up.
Yeah, I want to see
more professional policies is what I want to see in the game.
Yeah, more members of the team dedicated to being at a table.
Yeah.
Like not just have the refs hovering around. There needs to be one or two that are there specifically to stand at problem tables.
Yeah.
And I think that would really, really help.
It would, and with a good structure and policy that maybe even players agree to before they come.
Yeah.
Make it very well known. Hey, here's our code of conduct.
Mm-hmm.
Here's our procedure if you do the following things.
Yeah.
If there was a time when they were arguing with the referee, saying they were a liar. Well, that was me. If I was refereeing an event, somebody told me I was a liar,
See ya.
I'd be like, cool story, bro.
Well, it's like in football.
You're
If
gone.
you moan with the referee, you get another card, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't see why that's not put in there.
Football's not probably they are probably the worst.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Rugby, maybe.
Rugby, perhaps.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Football. If you've got like bad sportsmanship in 40k, football's right up there with it. They just fall over when you look at them, Michael.
That's true. That's true.
It's a good sport though.
Huh?
It's a good sport though.
Well, if you're good at falling over, yeah.
I'm definitely very good at
Well,
that.
Try not to alienate the entire.
We've just
football
lost
fandom.
200 subs. Oh, and it's rising.
To be fair, I don't know how many football fans right now are disagreeing with me.
No, I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
wrong.
They're probably like, actually.
Like.
Yeah.
well, we've got a load of super chats.
Awesome.
So, Mandy D gave $5. Say, I'm taking the last 2 weeks of June off. So Accelerator course and hopefully enough time to get games in with my Necrons.
Excellent.
Yes,
Love that.
Tattoo Tabletop gifted 10 Vanguard Tactics memberships.
Legend.
Thank you.
John McCardle gifted 50 Vanguard Tactics memberships.
Wow. Absolute legends. Thanks so much. James and John, you heroes, yeah.
And then John again donated $10. Here's a pint for Steve after handling that game like a pro.
Thanks. I did say to the Dicebreaker team, I was like, guys, I'm really sorry. You probably saw the worst of me. And they were like, oh, we actually thought you held it together pretty well. And I was like, yes, I put on a sarcastic Steve. The polite, professional,
It
very dry.
really is such a shame that
Yeah.
was the game that they had to see. Yeah.
Yeah, but it created an amazing conversation,
Of course.
which we did an interview after.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward, because again, I think it will help steer. And look, if I had to have one bad game, so that if Games Workshop are watching this back home and they watch this and go, well, actually, maybe we should think about our policies a bit more, then that's a positive.
Yeah.
If other TOs are watching this and they think, oh, I don't know how I would have handled that. Like, Games Workshop have never had to handle this situation before. So I get it. Like, I've got full sympathy and empathy there. So I don't hold any grudges. And it didn't necessarily affect my love of the event, because I did love Warhammer Fest. But now, moving forward, how do we make it better? How do we know what the problem is, find a solution? And if you're a TO back home, find those solutions, because it will mean that it will only become a problem if this behaviour continues, and those bad actors are allowed to continually get away from these things.
Yeah.
And yes, it is like 1% of the gaming population do it, but 1%'s enough.
Yes.
So
One of the big draws for me for an event is a strong sort of TO team.
Yeah.
Like, they know what they're doing
Yeah.
in any circumstance, and I'm like, I will go back to that event because I know that I can never be done dirty.
But the thing is, and this is where I've got like a fair bit of sympathy for all the GW staff were awesome. Whether they were, teaching people how to play, 10th edition, running Golden Demon, judging the event. Not one of them acted badly or anything like that. You all did an awesome job. But if there's people higher up saying, oh, we don't want this to be the case, if the board are saying, right, we don't, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes when you work in a a corporation like that, it's above your head what you can do.
Yeah.
Even if you physically want to throw the person out because they've just called you a liar, I know they can't.
Yeah.
And I have full sympathy and empathy for that. So it's not like the refs on the day did a bad job, not at all. They were actually very supportive, very helpful, trying to find a better resolution in the way that they had the power to.
Yeah.
Whereas single, if it's your own, like if I ran a tournament, I do what I want because it's my tournament.
Yeah.
If I want to kick you out because, I just don't like the fact that you've brought Necrons, Mandy, then that's what I'm going to do, Mandy, all right? No Necrons at my events.
Cool.
Well,
whatever that might be.
I know. Yeah, so Mandy just donated $20 saying, I've played football/soccer all through high school, Stephen. Don't besmirch that great sport. Never once fell over, by the way. I was taller than most of the other girls, so when I made them fall over, they weren't faking it.
Yes.
Mandy's like, they wouldn't stand back up.
Yeah, I put the foot in after.
Mandy puts the foot in.
I took the ref out. And that's why I don't play football anymore.
I love it. Yeah. Look, it's like Mandy D, a.k.a. Roy Keane.
The Roy Keane of 40k.
Mandy, I love it. That was brilliant.
Right, we have a fair few other super chats here.
Go on, chuck them in.
So, forgive me if I've got this name wrong, but A-Gear, with 1500 ISK, is that Icelandic?
That's the guy you played round 6.
Yeah.
Yes, recognise the name.
Ah, legend. He said Warhammer Fest was an absolute blast, and the chance to meet people like the venerable Mr. Box and playing him is something I'll treasure for a long time.
Oh, mate, thank you so much. And likewise, our game was awesome. So, you were a credit to your team and country. It was an absolute pleasure to play. So, thank you so much, for the opportunity.
We got a $5 super chat from Craig Knight saying, I know we're talking about Warfest games, but I have an Eldar question. I like the Dark Reaper models, but how can I make them viable?
I think you're in the wrong place, mate. I don't think we can answer that question. No.
We did try.
I mean, you used them in a stream, didn't you? And then, let's be honest.
I actually took him to that tournament at RTT where I played Jord.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I think they can work if you take the same craftful traits as Ben did.
The counter stationary after advancing.
Yeah.
For shooting, yeah.
So that's really strong with them because they can really start cutting angles then.
Okay.
And ignores cover.
Right.
And actually then for their points, they're maybe not massively efficient, but probably not in the terrible camp. I think they just become okay.
Right.
Like you can probably, maybe they're like 15 points overcosted if you went for that craft world, but hey, you can probably make up for it elsewhere by taking 3 D cannons.
Yeah.
So.
Always look on the
D
bright
cannons.
side of
Oh,
life.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So yeah, I think take that craft world, ignores cover, and then advance and shoot without penalties. That's not the battle focus rule, by the way. It's like an additional rule you've got to take.
Yeah.
Well, another £5 donation from Chris this time.
Yeah.
It's not fair on everyone else who paid for a ticket if players who are blatantly cheating are allowed to continue to play the event.
Agreed. I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
If I've got my thing, strongly agree.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe we'll have a few more debates because of this.
That is us all caught up on the super chats.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I was going to go through each of your rounds, but we kind of
You've done that.
went through most of them.
Yeah.
What was the most challenging game that you had?
It was challenging. Well, that one obviously was challenging.
Okay. Right. Other than
more
that,
Not
from-
mentally challenging, we're talking strategically.
The Necron game was hard.
yeah.
Like, the Necron game was really hard because I just didn't have the tools to kill it. And I had to just, like with the Knights game, that also wasn't an easy game, but I feel like the map I had a bit of an advantage on the mission.
Yeah.
And because of the terrain layouts, I was able to block their movement. Again, like there was one ruin that my opponent couldn't even come into.
Right.
So I was just like, I felt that it was a tough game, but I was able, especially turn 1, to like I could get rid of enough armigers averagely to make, and I could score my secondaries quite well. So the World Eaters game was tough. Like that is a hard game, the World Eaters.
Yeah,
It's
difficult because they score so well.
Yeah.
The interaction in combat, you've got to think so hard about.
But I did pretty much table the World Eaters by the end of the game, and I was tabled too. Like we just tabled each other.
Yeah.
But the Necrons, I just couldn't cope. I couldn't deal with it, and that was a really tough game. Like how do you beat an army that you can't kill? You just have to find all the other ways to try and win that map. And that was, and especially Necrons, because they got some very easy secondaries.
Yes.
Especially
on that mission.
That was a hard one. Yeah. But great game, David. I did really enjoy it.
Yeah. Cool.
And he was a godsend to play straight after playing that one the round before.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah. He was a real
Yeah.
Credit to Glasshammer there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Legend.
Any questions, George?
Yeah, I actually had a question about before you went to the tournament. Obviously, us three we stood around the table and we looked at different lists. I thought maybe it would be good for you to kind of explain your preparation for actually going into it with an army and why you picked Eldar.
Yeah.
Especially in comparison, you briefly touched on it at the start of the stream, but in comparison to the terrain layout, so how did that affect your army choice?
Yeah, so the terrain massively affected it. It affected the craft order that I took for a start. The meta dictated that I had to take the Phoenix Lords because I couldn't take the Avatar. Yeah. Now, bear in mind, I've ran a list with four Phoenix Lords in before, so this wasn't like anything new. This is kind of like when Ben Jones was like, "Do you want to run a meme list?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I want to run a meme 4 Phoenix Lord list." So this wasn't anything new that I haven't done before. So I knew I could play it well.
Yeah.
But I knew that the Phoenix Lords would help me against Desolation Marines and Iron Hands that really only fight in one phase of the game. I also knew the Phoenix Lords could help me in the World Eaters game. So the Phoenix Lords helped me in those matchups where I would probably struggle with the rest of the army. The terrain massively dictated what craft order I took. The psychic powers I took +2 to charge were also dictated by terrain because I knew that I'd have to put my striking scorpions in deep strike because I couldn't redeploy them because they'd just get indirected off the table. So I'd have to put them in strat reserve, which I've never, ever, ever done before. Yeah. I had to take the Wave Serpent because of Desolation Marines, which is a waste of 140 points.
I think we must have said Desolation Marines a million times during the follow-up, the preamble for Fest.
Yeah, it was like, can it survive Desolation Marines? Like, no, cool. Wave Serpent has to go in. Like that just is 150 points of wastage. Yeah, because it does nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we talked about the games. I had a few questions. I don't know if there's any more from the chat.
No more from chat. No.
Okay. So this is the exciting bit.
Right.
What did you get up to after your game 3 on Sunday night?
This is the secret bit. Okay. So Games Workshop were awesome.
Okay.
They were absolutely awesome. And this was all mainly organised by Andy. What a legend. Thank you so much, Andy. You are a credit to that company. You really are. And you've been awesome in terms of helping us previewers and content creators. You're awesome, just so you know. He said to me, Steve, it's like a few weeks ago, probably like a couple of months ago, he's like, Steve, can you put a team together of Space Marines? I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I want a team of Space Marines to play in Kill Team Live. Kill Team Live is basically laser tag, but like...
But they've made the weapons like 40k stuff. And
it's really
40k outfits.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be terrible based on what they like. Right, okay. I thought it was going to be like laser tag with these piddly little guns. No, I was running around with an orc slugger, like a proper big slugger. Yeah, I could one-hand it and just go, or I could double-hand it and get a bit more accuracy.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Oh, it was massive.
Still hitting on 5, so yeah.
Oh mate, I wouldn't hit it at all.
Oh. A true orc.
Hey, I'll come back to that. So he was like, yeah, we're going to get GoPros on your heads. I was like, sick. So I assembled quite the team of basically people that I knew from the fitness industry.
Right.
Yeah. So we had a team, well, it was Space Marines, but we basically became orcs.
Right. Okay.
Obviously, we were brutal, certainly not cunning, certainly couldn't hit anything. Actually, I feel like, and also the guns work differently. Yeah. So the las guns, you can actually aim. Right. And they give you like a beam. Right. Whereas the orc gun just go, It's like hitting hope. But the orcs, you got more hit points.
Yeah.
But it takes 7 seconds to reload your gun. Right.
Which is a long time.
A long time.
In the midst
in laser
of,
tag, when you're only 20 feet away from your opponents that
Yeah.
are constantly resurrecting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I put together quite a team, I think, and what a bunch of legends it was. So we had a content creators meeting. That was really cool. I can't talk about that. It's super secret. Then we went and did Kill Team Live.
Yeah.
So
I assume there was no melee involved.
no. What a ridiculous format for an orc. So what we had to do.
I'm just Tom, who joined us for dinner.
Yeah.
And he's massive. I was just imagining
Just getting
Kill Team
shot.
Live, and he just runs in.
No.
Tackle sword.
No, Michael, you can't run. Not allowed to run. No running. No running. Power walking, though. Those glutes were going. Yeah. So, yeah, we had quite the team. But, yeah, we did have literally absolute giants on our team, which, do you know what happens when you're a giant?
What?
You're well easy to get shot, apparently.
Yeah, I'll bet.
So,
Why did you sound like an orc when you said that you're sort of well easy?
well, easy, you are, yeah. It was domination. There was, 3 objectives, and you had to, shoot them, and it was whoever held the objectives for longer.
Right, okay.
But, yeah, there was a bit of cheating going on in that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was some big barricades up, and they were like, right, you can't run, you can't climb on the terrain.
Right, okay.
Right?
Okay.
But, do you know what they were doing?
What?
They were poking their guns over this
Blind
firing at where they knew the objective was. So even though we were camped in and the objective was behind us, and we were like, well, no one's coming. And we were like, how does it keep flipping over to the other teams? I was like, oh, shoot that down. And I was waiting, waiting for bad guys, with your shooter. And you're like, well, how's it flipped over again? And then I saw this gun just poking over, so we couldn't shoot them. Guard in their indirect fire. Needs a nerve, doesn't it? Yeah, so that was awesome. And then, because obviously everyone was gone home, we had a quick look around Golden Demon and stuff, which was cool.
Yeah.
And that was about it, really.
Yeah.
But it was great.
That sounds like so much fun.
It was actually really good. But I don't know if that was really well advertised enough. Because I think everyone should have done that. That was great.
Yeah, such a cool idea.
It really was good. If you ever get to do Kill Team Live, do it. It's great. It's great fun. Yeah.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Well, there we go, look.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
We had a whole conversation with Grandad, sat right next to it.
I wasn't part of that conversation.
No, I didn't know whether you could just go and do it. Whether you had to sign up.
It looked like they
beforehand,
just
or-
had a banner, but it didn't say come and play
No.
or sign up. So they needed a sign sign up to play Kill Team Live. That's what I think they need, a big old banner to say sign up. Because I just thought it was just for us. I was like, it's a bit of a waste just for us. And then I heard...
I didn't realise it wasn't just for you. Was it not just for you?
No, anybody could do it. Throughout the day, then we just had our slot. Yeah, I know. You could have done it, all of you at home.
That would have been great. We could have got Jordan Kobe's granddad involved and gone around... walked around
With Big Phil.
being orcs.
Big Phil.
Yeah.
Being orcs,
Big Phil
yeah.
would be sniping everyone on that map.
Even
would
with
be.
the orc
He would
gun.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with the slugger.
Yeah,
Slugger sniping. That's
I
what
feel
he would do.
like he would have been the worst commissar ever.
Yeah, he
He'd
would
probably
have.
been one of them.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Big Phil. Big Commissar Phil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, any other questions about Warhammer Fest?
It doesn't look like there's any more from the chat. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got one for you.
Go on then.
In terms of Golden Demon, how did you find the Golden Demon showcase?
I thought it was brilliant. I mean, it was I know there was a fair bit of queuing for it. And you've never had to queue for Golden Demon.
No.
So I think that's just traditional British people wanting to queue.
Yeah, I think so.
I can see why people formed a queue, because it would kind of make sense to just slowly walk around it.
Yeah.
But the entries I saw were beautiful as well. So if you entered Golden Demon, whether you got a pin, whether you were commendation, whether you won anything, or whether you just entered, fair play for just entering.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, fair play, because some of that work was absolutely stunning. And of course, if you did well, then congratulations. The amount of hours, even painting Dante for 6 hours, at some points I was a bit soul destroying.
I was blown away by the young blood stuff. So that's basically younger hobbyists, sort of getting into kids and stuff.
Really good, isn't it?
And it's just incredible. And
it makes you sick.
I love the fact.
It makes you sick in your mouth that they're that good.
I love the fact that they can partake in, and they had their own event as well. They had their own tournament as well for young blood. So if you have kids, then definitely encourage them to do Golden Demon. Just get involved as much as you can
Because they're better than us.
And it was very inspiring.
Yeah.
Some of the, I don't know what's just happened there, but some of the cards you get commended entries on the Youngbloods one.
A magnetic clip or something on there.
Oh, a little clip. Okay, don't worry.
Something went firing across the room. But yeah, that was mega inspiring, and all the creativity involving Golden Demon was very, very impressive.
Yeah. So what we're going to rate Fest out of 7?
Fest
4's like
7.
okay. What do you rate it? Like overall, the entire experience. I've already rated the trainer 2, maybe 3.
5.5. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, overall experience was, great.
Yeah.
I met a lot of people. I mean,
You can't do. It's not a half system, Michael. That's why we've got a 7. Because basically, on a series of 7, you've got a 4.
Right.
And this is why a 7. This has got explained to me once about why you always rate things on a 7. So a 4 is like average.
Okay.
Like neither real opinion, neither disliked it or liked it.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
And then you've got a 5.
Yeah.
Which is like good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A 6, which is very good.
Right.
And then 7's perfect.
Okay.
And then you've got bad,
Right.
extremely bad,
Right.
and never want to do that thing ever again.
Okay.
Being a 0, like the worst thing you've ever done.
Right.
See what I mean? So it's got a nice
well,
scale.
1, right? Because you can't do a 0, because then it wouldn't be.
If you go to
even
0.
number.
Yeah, sure, yeah. 1. Yeah, we'll go to 1, yeah.
Okay.
So we've got 3. Oh yeah, because we've got 3, haven't we? We've got 3, which is bad, 2, and then 1, yeah.
Yep.
That's numbers.
Yeah.
Look, Kobe, don't worry, you all laughed and painted 10 points, all right?
I'm entering Golden Demon next year with my
So,
awesome 10 points.
I think, like,
5 or
close
6.
to a 6. Yeah, 5 or a 6. I think there's definitely a lot of stuff that could be improved.
Yeah.
But like the overall experience was great.
So I would say it was a 6 for me because I was a content creator, because I got to do the cool Kill Team Live thing.
He didn't even invite me.
Yeah.
Oh, look at me.
I know.
Orc right here.
Yeah. Well, originally, we only had a team of 7 of 8.
Right.
And I said, well, we're struggling for numbers. Can I bring Jake as our Makari? Because we had Tom as our, big Gazgul boss.
Yeah, obviously.
So I thought Jake could run around with Tom.
Yeah.
And we've got Gazgul Bakari.
Yeah.
But then Jake
Nice.
couldn't make it the next day.
Yeah.
So I just brought Chris in because it was his birthday.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
yeah. Sorry, mate. Anyway, so I'd rate it a 6 because I was a content creator and I got to do that with my Orc team, which was super cool. That really made it for me.
Yeah.
If I was probably a punter, maybe a 5. Like, excluded everything, my whole day excluding
Sorry,
the content.
what do you mean by a punter?
Like, just...
I'm so confused.
Do you know what I mean by
right
a punter?
No, not a clue.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's just the expression you make for like I would have said, Jordan, you went as a punter. You went as like somebody that paid for their ticket, went, enjoyed the experience, Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm a punter.
Maybe it's like an old man thing that you say, ask Big Phil, he'll know.
We'll ask Big Phil.
I bet Grandad knows.
Yeah, Grandad knows.
If you're a punter, yeah. Anyone in the chat, you know what a punter is?
I'm just thinking of rugby right now.
Yeah, when you punt the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Punt it.
Yeah.
It's different to that.
I thought that was
Well,
toe
it
poke.
sounds exactly the same.
It's like toe poking a ball.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a toe poker, then Fest was like
Do you
a
remember
5.
doing that, like the square shoes?
Oh no, never toe punt it.
Never toe punt. If you had the
That's the
square
best
shoes,
kind of kick.
yeah, if you had the square shoes and you booted it with your toe.
With your Clarks.
With your Clarks.
Yeah.
That was literally a 99 rated kick. That was like, oh, you was ruling the playground with that shot. And then the gym teacher would see you and be like, do you know what? This kid's got skill. Let's put him in.
Nah, lose your laces, mate.
I was thinking more of like the pumps.
And you're there like, I've only got Velcros, bro.
Yeah, well, that's the Velcro helps. Aerodynamics and... We haven't got time for that, Steve, all right? I can't talk about aerodynamics on
Does the
stream.
chat know what I was on about with a punter?
Punting, you say? No.
Punter equals customer.
Our customers or fans. Okay.
Oh,
See?
right, okay.
But his name was less posh Josh knows what punting is.
Yeah. Only water left. Cool. Yeah, any other questions, or should we wrap this up?
I'm out of questions. I think what else was there? Did you check out anything other than the painting, like the Golden Demon and the Kill Team? So there was like different games on offer they were
Not
talking
really.
about.
Not really. I didn't get a chance to any of the computer game stuff.
Fair enough.
Seb, what's your question?
What about the League of the Larkin box?
Oh, of course, yes, of course. How
Yeah,
could we
what about
forget
the
the actual
reveals?
reviews?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is like
So,
the biggest question.
what was your favourite of the things that got reviewed? That's the first question.
Terminator Captain.
Terminator Captain.
Oh, he looks
He
sick.
is actually a baller. He's a baller. Kobe's just put his thumbs down.
Or the Librarian in Terminator armour.
I don't know about the Terminator Librarian. The Terminator Captain's really cool though. I loved him. He was really
He's
cool.
on a 50mm base.
Yeah.
He's
he was really cool.
huge.
He was really cool. Well, that Terminator Librarian's actually is quite cool.
Double thumbs down for all of these.
What else got reviewed? I mean, to be honest, I missed all the reviews because I was playing tournaments.
I like the Stern Guard. The new Stern Guard. They look really cool.
They are just Blade Guard, though, with guns, aren't they? They're Blade Guard bodies with intercessor arms.
Isn't that
Well,
just
that's what the
a
stern
veteran is?
bit means.
Yeah,
Stern.
stern.
Exactly, because they've got
They
guns
are.
that
They're
stern.
punters. They're punters.
They're just punters. They're just
punters.
regular.
That's all
They-
Stern Guard.
They do look good, and I love the new Terminator models.
Yeah, yeah.
They look like they're in good proportions.
The chicken dreadnought, the ballistus dreadnought.
The Colonel.
What a
The
name!
Colonel. Yeah, I like it.
It is obviously a remake of an old classic.
Yeah, which I don't think is warranted. Right, so hear me out, Games Workshop. Put the old box dreadnoughts in units. 1 to 3.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Like Sentinels. I mean, they're smaller than Sentinels
They
now.
are now.
How
Yeah,
crazy
they
is
have
that?
been like made small enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like unit 1 to 3.
that'd be cool.
And they've told us about characters leading units. How cool would it be
Have a dreadnought character.
to have Bjorn
Imagine
or
Bjorn just
Murderfang
waddling forward with
or a
his
librarian
homies.
dreadnought
With all his
leading
crews.
a unit of venerables?
Pretty cool idea, that.
Do
Anyway,
it.
yeah, yeah, it's all right. Like it's like a 4 out of 7. That
Yeah.
dreadnought.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you meant the box set.
So I would have said like the dreadnought was like a 4 for me.
Mm-hmm.
The Stern Guard, the Inferno Marines, I'd probably say were a 5 for me.
Yeah, they're cool.
And then Stern Guard, I'd say were a 6.
Mm-hmm.
But the Terminator squads, they're a 7 out of 7.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think they could have got
Fair
any
enough.
better. And
Fair enough.
I think if I had to use my 7 scaling system
Yeah.
out of how I like those individual models,
Yeah.
I didn't really look at the NID stuff because I don't really like NIDs, so I just didn't really look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
But
Fair
the
enough.
Screamer Killer
Um,
is so awesome.
So my only issue with the Inferno squad was that the sergeant is pulling a knife out and has a pistol in his other hand.
Do you
I
know
don't know
why?
if you've seen the Devastator Marines, but there's also the sergeant's also got a pistol like this, and he's holding literally the biggest gun in the universe in one hand.
But
He's
Michael,
decided to fire a pistol.
Michael,
Yeah.
when you're a sergeant and
Yeah.
you get to that level, you
Yeah.
can pick what gun you want to use, all right?
He
If-
uses a dumbbell.
If nobody's pointing a pistol, how do you know where to shoot?
You're right, actually.
With your
You got
eyes?
me, you got me. You got me. You got me. You got me.
Got to be like, look, lads, over there. Let me
pull
get
my
my
knife out.
Let me get my signature pistol and knife. Pow.
Knife.
Pow.
I
you're
don't need
dead.
this flamethrower.
No.
I'll use a knife instead.
Yeah. Look.
Have they never heard of bayonets? I'm sorry, but why has every intercessor got a knife? And they've never thought, oh, I could just have a gun with a knife on the end of it.
Because
They
you can
did,
throw
they did,
it.
mate. That was back in Heresy. They've moved on.
They've moved on.
And it's time you do too. Okay?
Anyway, Tyranids. The Tyranids were cool.
They look all right.
Yeah, I do feel you with that.
They definitely
do
look-
actually feel
No,
you
I
with
mean, no, I'm actually playing it down a bit just because I'm not a
that.
big fan of
The
it.
Von Ryans.
And I'm trying to wind you up.
Okay, fair
Right.
enough. The Von Ryans are a 7 for me. 7 out of 7. I think they're probably the best model in the kit
Right.
for me.
Okay.
I just love them to bits.
Right.
The Screamer Killer, 4.
4?
Yeah.
Really?
I feel like they're trying to go back in time with the sculpting.
Yeah.
I prefer the armoured head because it currently looks like a friar from some monk priesthood, where it's like got a bald bit in the middle and hair around the sides. And then its tail, I just don't.
Oh yeah, I've just seen the hair bits on the side.
Yeah, I
You'd
don't.
probably have to stick them on though.
Yeah.
Rip them off. I actually think it's a nice touch back to an old classic. So I would give the Storm Killer. What was it?
Screamer
Killer.
Killer.
Storm Killer?
Screamer Killer.
Whatever.
Punter.
The Screamer Punter.
The Screamer Punter.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 6.
The Punter Killer.
The punter killer.
I mean, it
That
does
just
have,
sounds like a hunter
it does
killer.
have a bit of a dodgy look.
This is what, right? The tail is terrible.
I mean,
He's looking at it right now.
It is awesome. Hell yeah!
He's packing.
He's packing. It looks awesome.
Leviathan's back, baby.
I didn't even notice that until now, and now I can't not see it.
Right, so my point stands. I would have preferred a tail that was more like an actual tail.
Can't not see it now.
So childish.
Yeah, the was it psychophage, something like that?
Yep.
That was cool. That was cool.
I can't not see
A
it.
lot of people compared it to the Venom crawler. It looked a little, it looked a very Venom crawlery, but I quite like the idea. It's nice to have like a more feeding Tyrannid units.
Yeah.
I
I can't not see that.
The Neuro Tyrant, very small. I didn't really feel it. I wasn't feeling it. The Neuro Tyrant, it didn't look that
Okay.
cool
Yeah.
for me. Maybe like more tentacles, make it a bit more ominous. And then there's the Neuro Gaunts.
Yep.
And the Barb Gaunts.
Yep.
I just
Excuse
really-
me, I did not even see this revealed at Warhammer Fest.
What?
The thing I've been waiting for, and probably the reason why we never actually started doing Heresy as a channel, they've now finally brought out Assault Marines.
No.
No, Steve.
No.
Steve.
No, but like they've been revealed.
yeah, in the design stage.
Yeah, Steve, they're coming out at the end of the year.
But there is another tank coming out soon. I thought,
It's like another.
I know you're looking
tanks.
forward to another tank.
I have been waiting for these things for ages,
Same
and they're only in design.
Yeah,
I mean, it's good that they are. I mean,
finally in design, yeah.
yeah,
Are you getting a plastic big old knight?
not interested.
2 unnamed characters, or 2
Oh,
named characters.
Characters we've not met
wow.
before. But there is a Tomb King and a Bretonian Knight. It's very cool.
7.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but Steve, he's got a hand weapon.
It's what?
He's got a hand weapon. The classic fantasy
Oh, of course
Thing.
you've got to take a hand weapon.
hand
Yeah.
weapons.
Well, you wouldn't take any other. Oh my god! Look at this guy.
Yes, the
He's looking at
Bretonian.
Look at him.
He's got a stag helmet.
It's me in armour.
Yes,
Yeah, with my big sword.
for the lady.
So, always for the ladies.
lady.
7.
For
So
the
yeah, that's awesome. Who thinks we should do Old World when it comes out? By the way, as a channel,
I'll put a poll up.
For the lady.
put a poll up.
Can I just get first dibs on Tomb King, please?
No.
I think you're going to have to leave, Kobe, before you get
These
put in a team.
these Age of Sigmar
They
Cavaliers,
they're
mate.
so for me, they're the coolest ones.
They're an 8.
Yeah.
If there was possibly an
Agreed.
8, okay, I'm gonna have to put everything back down to a 6 now because looking at these,
Yeah, they're incredible, aren't they?
they've got like a real grim dark feel to them. What I dislike sometimes about Age of Sigmar a little bit is it can go a little bit too cartoony, but these models are insane.
As you can tell, Steve hasn't had much of an opportunity to actually look at any of the reveals.
Wow, this
He's
is
catching up now.
look at these.
They're very cool. Very, very cool. They're the best reveal for me.
While we're on the subject of Age of Sigmar,
But I'm playing cities, alright? Hands off.
Mate, I'm doing a full cavalry army, so
No, I'm doing a full cavalry army.
I'm doing it.
Well, you can do it for the lady,
Should we do doubles?
and I'll do it.
Should we do Age of Sigmar doubles with our full cavalry army?
Okay. Well,
while we are quickly on the subject of Age of Sigmar, Tattoo
Yes.
Tabletop donated $10 saying, the real question, will VT ever attempt an Age of Sigmar GT or RTT?
oh, you
I've
know
heard
it.
nothing but great things, so I'm curious myself.
You know it.
Mike, how long have we been looking?
I mean, there aren't many in our area in the
Can't
UK.
find them.
It's real tough to find them, but 100% going to go to one.
Yeah, with my new
100%.
Sigmar cavalry army.
Hey,
Yes.
for the lady, for the lady.
Honestly, that is quite something special. That is.
Yeah, it's incredible. The Oryx got a bigger pig.
Oh, hells yeah.
They can stand on the sides of
It's so cool. And
instead of on top of it.
It creates about 4 different models.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, they said it in the reveal, yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Like a different kind of pig?
Yeah, like a named pig, a normal pig, and then just
Babe.
like a heavy,
Babe.
and then just like a heavy unit pig.
They did look. Come on,
They
guys.
did seriously say it, though,
So,
didn't they?
They did need their own like Marathi or someone like that. So they've
Right.
brought in Babe the pig.
They've
Babe
already
the pig.
got their own Marathi.
Yeah.
Babe, wow. Okay. Things getting serious.
It's always
Yeah.
serious, Mike. It's always serious.
Okay. Named pig.
Right, well, guys, we've had 31 votes and 69% for yes.
69%.
I think that's probably why Warhammer Fest wasn't quite as good as we wanted, because they wanted that vote.
69%.
Yeah.
Always 69%, yeah.
That is actually, in the grand scheme of things, a little bit low, isn't it?
What?
For Warhammer Fest. Like this big old, like the premium
probably an
GW
amber.
event.
Yeah, probably an amber.
Yeah, but I guess it's probably echoed by some of our rank. Well, 5 as a punter myself, although I did play
That's
in the
good,
games
though.
as well.
That was very good.
You're not a punter,
Yeah.
Michael.
That is good. Like a 5 is a good. Like it wasn't a bad event. It was a good event.
Yeah.
But there's room for improvement. Probably be
Yeah.
worse if it was a 7 because you'd be like, yeah, well, I'm never going to get better than that. So it's only downhill from now.
And
You just
Steve-
raise the scales to 8, don't you?
No,
And then,
you can't.
Yeah, you definitely do.
I mean, it's a 7 for me because it's a named pig coming. So Age of Sigmar.
Name pig.
Like, can you now run Gore Grunters like without the riders?
Right, let's move
Shove
on.
a pig
So anyway,
army.
I just want to say we'll close this out with a massive thank you to everybody that, like I say, came up to us. Thank you to all
Yeah.
the content creators as well that took the time to chat with me as well. It was amazing to connect with all you guys again. Thank you so much, Games Workshop, for all the hard work that you did to put into Fest. And yeah, we've been a little bit critical, but we've been honest, and that's the most important thing. Thank you to all of my opponents. Thank you to Dice Breakers for the documentary. And yeah, honestly, it's been absolutely awesome. So remember, if you want to get your miniatures, make sure you check out the Outpost. They are one of our sponsors and they're absolutely incredible. So if you do have time and you want to get some new models, do check out the Outpost. If you want to get some sprays, check out Colourforge, C Studios for all of your commission painting. And if you want to attend any of the US events, check out Frontline Gaming because they are absolutely awesome. And again, yeah, we hope to see you back here next week. I won't be here.
No, you won't.
I'm off to see somebody extremely special.
You are, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm very much looking forward to that.
I don't know. Well, I was thinking we could stream a Sigmar game.
Could do. Yeah.
Named pig.
I'm looking forward to next week.
I'll bet you are.
I'm not going to be able to hide it as well, yet, am I?
No.
Shall I just say who I'm going to see?
I mean, sure.
I'm going to see Mini Wargaming Dave. And Mini Wargaming Matt, who I had the pleasure of meeting at Warhammer Fest as well. So, yeah.
That's pretty
I'm
awesome.
off to Mini Wargaming. I'm going to stay in the bunker
That's
and I'm
pretty
mega
awesome.
excited about it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you bring back one of their big foam weapons?
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And we can use it in Kill Team.
Yeah.
Kill Team run around with foam weapons. Combat!
Warhammer LARP. Get that going.
Warhammer LARP.
I want a Thunderhammer.
You can even lift a Thunderhammer.
I can. I've been doing your program, Steve.
Yeah, you need a few more weeks yet, mate.
Oh.
Yeah, you're at like combat weapon. You can have a hand weapon.
I'm more like incursor, little knife.
You can have a blade.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get a pig, mate.
You can carry that. Pigs are quite heavy.
No, I'm going to name it, and then I'll put a little step on the side of it, and I'll stand on it.
What would you name it?
Should put a saddle on it.
Babe.
Babe.
Right. Anyway, babes, we'll see you next Wednesday for some more. Have we got a debate video this week?
Yes.
Friday debate. I don't know what it is, but I'm looking forward to it because
It's a good one.
it's a good one. See you later. Bye-bye.